So I just wanted to start you off welcoming you to the cohort. We are over 600 strong thus far, and we continue to grow. So you will be amongst a large number of educators from across the state. And they will serve as a great resource for you both in content and informative assessment practices. But I wanted to kick it off with a message from Dr. Lowry. I've mentioned this before, but Dr. Lowry firmly believes in formative assessment and FAME as a way of improving student learning. And she made us a short video explaining what formative assessment is and why it's so important for Maryland teachers and students.
Formative assessment is a process teachers use to collect real-time, low-stakes data on student learning. Teachers gather these data through observation, analyzing student work, and listening to discussions. We know differentiation is critical for meeting the diverse needs of our students. However, it is difficult to differentiate until teachers know what students know. Formative assessments help teachers pinpoint the degree of individual learning, and they assess the learning in ways that do not feel like assessments to students. Teachers then interpret the evidence. They use it to guide their instruction and feedback. That's why formative assessment has been described as teaching with the lights on. It helps teachers to see more clearly what each student needs. We ask not only, what do you know, but how do you know that? Teachers using formative assessment push students to explain their thinking and to provide evidence of their problem solving. Right now in Maryland, we are in the process of implementing college and career-ready standards. FAME, professional learning, supports teachers in this transition. It emphasizes instructional and assessment practices that engage students in goal setting, self-assessment, and incorporating peer and teacher feedback into their learning process.
So just a short intro from our superintendent of schools to welcome you to the FAME cohort. I want to start by talking about what the expectations are for FAME and what our goals are, because really, if we're expecting you to take on this work and do this, create this change in your school, you should know what the outcomes are, obviously, because that is how we frame formative assessment, is planning with the end in mind. So the learning outcomes are to understand how formative assessment fits within a comprehensive assessment system. We do not advocate getting rid of summative. Every type of assessment has its purpose, but we say that formative assessment really has a strong purpose, and its goal is to help you know where students are at every point in their learning. Understanding the importance of intentional lesson planning, embedding formative assessment into existing classroom routines. It is so important that you all understand that nobody is asking you to start from scratch. Many of you are really strong, experienced teachers who have routines and methods and styles that are individual and unique, and we encourage you to embed formative assessment practices into what you're already doing. To deepen the use of formative data to adjust instruction or provide descriptive feedback, and understanding the features of a collaborative classroom culture. All of these learning outcomes are really your goals as well as a teacher. They're really just ways to improve what you're already doing and deepen your understanding of the formative assessment process. So you've probably heard that you have a facilitator at the school. There are two important people at your school who are, or sometimes more, who are liaising with me to make this work happen. And so you have your administrator who's participating, and you have your facilitator. Your facilitator is your connection between your school, your administrator, and me at the state, because I am working across the state with all the schools that are going through FAME right now. So I can find similarities, I can find other schools for you to work with, and really help you reinforce the work that you're doing. The facilitator is learning with the group. They are there for check-ins if you're having trouble, if there are issues with the technology, if you're not familiar with how to use the modules, or if you just really have questions for someone and you'd like to know, what you should do. They are there for you. They are the ones who plan and schedule the community of practice. They run the community of practice, and they are there to support you in your learning. And they also complete the documentation, because part of the CPD credit, and this is a 3 CPD credit course, one aspect is attending that community of practice. So it's their job to document that you have attended. So it's very important if you are, for some reason, not able to attend, or you didn't sign in, or whatever it is, your facilitator is the one that turns in that documentation. And then just to end, before we start the question and answer period, just wanted to share some observations from our friends from Cohort 1. They will also be a learning resource for you throughout the year. They know that they are expected to assist with Cohort 1 or Cohort 2 attendees and participants.
It's a mindset, actually, of being able to put your thoughts into a grander idea and then building towards that idea is very helpful towards me when planning, which is an unexpected thing that came out of FAME, was the assistance for me in terms of planning. The assessment part, though, I saw this with our faculty too. When we first presented these ideas to us, what's the difference of formative and summative? And there's many people that don't see the difference. And I think back, like, did I really see that great of a difference, or did I care? So I think that's where I used to be. Now I can verify in my instruction that I don't have that many grades in gradebook anymore, because I'm using more formative ideas to move them along towards when they have to have a summative, and I'm seeing growth. So I'm seeing it twofold. One is it's impacting my instruction a whole lot, but then secondly, I'm seeing within my students as well.
I love the fact that I can go into a classroom now and recognize teachers utilizing pieces of the continuum of learning that they're using. Goal setting, student goal setting, where they are. You can ask students, where are you in your progression of learning? And they can answer that. So that's a shift, whereas before, students may say, well, I have a C in this class.
What I've seen different so far is a spirit of collaboration. And within that spirit of collaboration, I feel like the group here at Lockerman has almost like their own language. They have a sense of comfort now among the group. And I feel that when Common Core came in, I think a lot of our teachers, our great teachers, lost their confidence in teaching, and would come into a classroom feeling like, gosh, I don't know what I'm doing, you know? And so this gave them a spirit of collaboration, that they feel comfort with each other, and they can share what's working, what's not working, troubleshoot. And I think that I'd like to see that part of FAME grow out.
Thinking back to when we first heard about FAME, Formative Assessment for Maryland Educators, my knowledge base was on formative assessment being a classroom exit ticket. It has since greatly changed through the modules and the community of practices, through discussions with teachers, administrators, and our district level personnel. I personally have now a greater understanding that formative assessment is truly more of a shift in instructional practice, not just a thing or an it that you do in the classroom. There's a lot of ways to implement it, and there's a lot of ways to go right with it. There's not this narrow little path where you have to feel like, oh, I'm not doing it right. Even though a lot of us here have said those words, but in the end, you know, that's constantly been my message to them, has been, I don't think it's hard to do it wrong. You know, you're just trying it, and in trying it, you're going to figure it out and how it works for you.
My suggestion to other school leaders is that you find folks that are ready and willing to embark on the experience. It may be 3, it may be 17, but it's a start for a change in your school.
So all of those videos are on our YouTube channel. We also have our blogs and a number of other resources for you to access. So I will go ahead. Oh, sorry, there are one or two more things I wanted to share. There we go. So you can find our YouTube channel. It is Maryland Formative Assessment, or the user is MD Formative. We have a number of playlists about FAME and formative assessment. And we have a number of videos, classroom videos, that you can watch great formative assessment practices in action. If you have